Hey, what's up my friends? My name is Bill. Welcome to Cars That Last. On today's video, the top 5 large sport utility vehicles that are known to last 300,000 or more miles. In this video, I've got some great statistics that I think you'll find helpful if you are in the market for a large sport utility vehicle, or you currently own one and you're interested in seeing how long it might last. This category of large SUVs is one of the longest lasting categories of vehicles on the road. There's some really impressive statistics that I think you'll find helpful. Now, if you're new to my YouTube channel, I study the car marketplace, I analyze data. I like finding cars that are reliable, affordable, and can last a long time. In this video, I've also got a new statistic that I'm excited about. I want to take a look at the affordability of some of these older SUVs. So I'm going to include those statistics in this study. Now, there are roughly 12 large SUVs in this category. Now, I say roughly because some manufacturers put the label on multiple vehicles. For example, the Chevy Suburban is also known as the GMC Yukon. And after the top 5 SUVs, I'm also going to round out the bottom just to let you know where everything finished. And this study was for vehicles under $8,000. However, there was one exception to that. I'll explain that as we get into the video. And reminder, if you like this kind of data, consider hitting that subscribe button. Also hit the like if you like that. It helps my videos get out there to more people. All right, let's get into the top 5. Vehicle number 5 was the Ford Excursion, the gas version. Now, the Gas Excursion comes with the 5.4 liter V8 or the 6.8 liter V10. Years in the study range from vehicles from 2000 to 2005. Reminder that Ford no longer makes the Excursion. A total of 38% of Gas Excursions lasted more than 200,000 miles. The highest mileage was a 2002 model with the 6.8 liter V10, had 443,000 miles. There were 2 vehicles above 300,000 miles. Now, for my new statistic, 16% of Gas Excursions had less than 150,000 miles for less than $8,000. So that statistic can help you to determine if you're in the market for one of these, what's out there. Can you find affordable vehicles that can still have some mileage left in them? Now, common issues with the Excursion. There were some issues with front tires blowing out, which can cause hazard, so you want to watch out for that. Also, the V8 engines from Ford have some issues with spark plugs blowing out. It's a very common problem with the 5.4 liter engine, can also be in the 6.8 liter, so it's something that you want to be aware of. The Excursion is a huge vehicle, can haul your family, go off-roading, and do whatever you need to do. All right, vehicle number 4 are the General Motors large SUVs. These are going to include the Chevy Suburban, the GMC Yukon, the Chevy Tahoe, and the Yukon XL. Note that I did not include the Cadillac Escalade. Now, the GM trucks are doing really well. Now, I decided to combine these trucks as they have the similar running gear of the engine and transmission in a majority of the vehicles. So for trucks above 200,000 miles, 38% of GMC Yukons had above 200,000 miles, 39% of Tahoes had above 200,000, 40% of Yukon XLs and 43% of the Chevy Suburbans had more than 200,000 miles. So roughly 40% of General Motors large SUVs were able to make it more than 200,000 miles. In addition, all of the highest vehicles had one thing in common, the 5.3 liter V8. Same engine that's in this 03 Suburban behind me. In fact, the highest mileage GMC truck was a 2002 Suburban with over 400,000 miles. Reminder that the GMC Yukon can come with a 6.8 liter V8, and the Chevy Tahoe can also come with a 4.8 liter V8. Now, good news, if you're looking for a large family hauler that seats 7, you can put 2 dogs in the back and take it all the way to the lake. There are a lot of these trucks on the market. In fact, 12% of GM trucks had less than 150,000 miles for less than $8,000. This is a very affordable option if you need a large SUV. Reminder that the 90s Suburbans came with a 5.7 liter V8, also a very reliable engine. I've seen many of those with well more than 200,000 miles. Years range in the study from 1995 to 2013. Now, problems for these used vehicles. Reminder that the 2007 model was a new generation. That engine was known for burning oil, so something to watch out for. Also, all these GM trucks rust. I highly encourage you to find one down in the south, maybe go to Dallas or Atlanta. You want to find one that has a relatively rust-free body. Reminder that the frames can also rust out on these. Brake lines on these trucks are also known for rusting out, so that can be an expensive repair. I've done a couple of other videos on the Suburban. In fact, I did a video with a friend of mine that has two Suburbans with over 500,000 accumulated miles between the two Suburbans. And one other problem, the 03 to 05 GM trucks can have issues with speedometers not working. Mine works fine. However, I did notice just yesterday that my oil pressure gauge stopped working. Looks like a weekend project. Truck number 3 is the Toyota Sequoia. Almost 46% of Sequoias had more than 200,000 miles. That's a fantastic number. Years ranged from 2001 to 2008. There were 12 vehicles above 300,000 miles. The highest mileage was a 2002 model with a 4.7 liter V8, had 370,000 miles. In addition, you can find some used Sequoias at affordable prices. In fact, 14% of the vehicles had less than 150,000 miles for less than $8,000. Now, the Sequoia is known for reliability. There are very few complaints with these. However, you want to make sure that the mid-2000s Sequoias, they have been known to have rusty frames. Again, if you're looking for a used truck, I highly recommend trying to get somewhere south, get a non-rusty truck. Sequoia is not quite as big as a Suburban and certainly a little bit less than the Excursion, but still can be a great family hauler with 7 seats and 2 dogs in the back. SUV number 2 is the Toyota Land Cruiser and Lexus LX 470. A whopping 74% of trucks under $8,000 had more than 200,000 miles. There were 7 trucks above 300,000 miles. The highest was a 2000 model featuring the 4.7 liter V8. It's the same engine that's in the Sequoia that had 394,000 miles. Now, as far as affordability goes, it's difficult finding a Land Cruiser under 150,000 miles for under $8,000. It's fairly common to find a Land Cruiser above 150,000 miles for less than $8,000. You might find one with 200,000, 225, something like that. If you find one with less than 150,000 miles, you're gonna pay for it. Very low complaints on these trucks as well. I featured them in other videos before. Downside to a Land Cruiser is 12 to 14 miles per gallon. These bigger trucks don't necessarily get very good gas mileage. This Suburban behind me gets roughly 15 to 16 on the highway. And again, the Land Cruiser's not too big. There's also not a lot of Land Cruisers. You might have to travel far to find one. All right, that leads us to number 1. Can you guess it? I'm gonna say you might not be able to guess vehicle number 1. It was a surprise to me a little bit, and I chose to separate this from the number 5 vehicle. The number 1 vehicle is the Ford Excursion Diesel. The numbers on the Ford Excursion Diesel are quite impressive. Years range from 1999 to 2005. I also want to say this, it's hard to find any diesel Excursion less than $8,000. So I had to bump up the price to less than $12,000 so we could find some relevant information. 77% of vehicles had above 200,000 miles. The highest was a 2001 model with a 7.3 Power Stroke diesel that had 370,000 miles. 23 of these trucks had more than 300,000 miles. Now, I was able to find 17 trucks with less than 150,000 miles for less than $12,000. Now, a reminder that these trucks came with a 7.3 Power Stroke diesel from 1999 to 2003, and from 2003 to 2006, they switched over to the 6.0 liter Power Stroke. The good news and bad news with both of these engines: the bad news is that these engines have maintenance issues that you need to be aware of. In fact, the 6 liter Power Stroke had a number of lawsuits because of the problems with it. The good news, though, is that these problems are well known. So my impression of the Diesel Excursion is that if you need the ultimate family hauler and you're gonna pull a 28-foot camper across the country, and you've got 4 kids and 2 cats and 1 dog, and you need to go up mountains, uphill, in 2 feet of snow, that Excursion might be the vehicle for you. Would I want to drive it to the mall? I don't know if I would. So problems with the Power Stroke, actually I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to put a couple of links to some really great websites that you can find more information about. In addition, if you're looking for a diesel truck, I just made a video on how long diesel trucks last. You can find that right here. Okay, let's take a look at the large SUVs that did not make this top 5 list. Next would be the Cadillac Escalade. 25% of vehicles had above 200,000 miles. Still a respectable number for any vehicle category. I've had some people ask me about the Ford Expedition. That would be next at 24.5%. That also comes with a 5.4 liter V8 that we've seen in other of my videos with high mileage. At 23% is going to be the Infiniti QX56. At 17% is the Hummer H2 or H3. At 16% is the Nissan Armada. I was really surprised that I didn't see more Nissan Armadas. I'm curious to know if there's any Armada drivers out there, how you're doing with those vehicles. They seem to be well built, but I don't see quite as many of those. Granted, they started in 2004, so maybe there isn't enough time and or driving on those to get the high miles yet. Next would be the Lincoln Navigator at 14%. That also has the 5.4 liter V8. And finally at the bottom, I included the Jeep Commander. That came in at 7%. All right, guys, how many miles are on your large SUV? What have been your experiences? I'd love to hear your comments. Consider commenting below. If you haven't done so, consider hitting that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the bell to be alerted for new videos. I've got a lot more great materials coming your way. As always, thanks so much for watching. Namaste.